Hey folks, how you doing? It is time. This is our tarot meetup on YouTube Live. I'm so happy to see you here. Let's see. Oh, and you are so good at just coming right on in and saying hello, Julianne. Mary Collins, nice to see you. Claire C, glad you're here. Joanne, Sally, Melanie, glad you're here. And do as Sally did, man, without being asked. I'm in Fort Pierce, Florida, using the Hanson Roberts deck. That's what Sally said. That's what I'd like everyone to do. Where in the world are you? I'm in Palm City, Florida, and I am using Spiral Tarot. So go ahead, let us know where you are and what deck you are using. And this was a suggestion given me today that in the second half, when we do our workshop, we're going to talk, we have a few things to talk about, but one of them will be utilizing more than one deck. Whether that's using two tarot decks or a tarot deck and an oracle deck, any way that we might utilize more than one deck. So if you happen to have more than one deck with you, or if you want to run off to your bookshelf and get more than one deck, that is fabulous. Okay, let's see who we've got here. Okay, let's see. Okay, Melanie is in Chicago and using the RWS. Christine, nice to see you on Paris Island, South Carolina, using the Crow Tarot. Mary Collins is in West Palm Beach with her Pocket RWS deck. Chriswell is in Deerfield Beach. The Ator Tarot, I don't know that one. Very interesting. Julianne is in Tampa using Cat Tarot, where the death card is a vacuum cleaner. That is too cool. Okay. Laura's in Kona, Hawaii, using Golden Tarot by Liz Dean. Okay, so if you have not already done so, tell us where in the world you are and what deck you are using. Absolutely. All right. Karen, what did you miss? Absolutely nothing. You missed saying hello. Same with you, Jean Laurie. You missed nothing. Just tell us where in the world you are and what deck you're using. And, oh, I know what you missed. Later on, we're going to be working with more than one deck. So if you have an oracle deck or more than one tarot deck and you want to run to your bookshelf and get them, by all means do. Okay, Clumsy Clairvoyance. Happy New Moon in California, using Line Strider and Hush. Jackie Scott is in London and using the RWS. And Karen is from Port St. Lucie using Crystal Visions, one of my favorite decks. All right, so thank you so much. We are doing these meetups 3 times a month here on YouTube, and I thank you all so much for being here. Let's see, Ator is RWS with sort of cartoony characters with big round noses. Kim Morse is in Tampa using Classic Tarot. Hey, Jean Trawatha, nice to see you. Very cool. All right, so here's how it goes. For the first half of our time together, we'll be here for an hour. For the first half of our time together, we will do readings, and we will do them in a specific format. And then in the second half, we're going to talk about tarot. We'll do some workshop-y kinds of stuff. That's when I said we're going to be doing some working with more than one deck and a few other things. So if you have questions about tarot, that will be a time to do that. So let's see. Hey, Robin Renee in Pittsburgh using the Modern Witch. Very good. Marion K. Tarot in Scotland using the RWS Radiant version. Kathy is using the Rider Waite. Kathy, where in the world are you? Joanne is in Houston using the Universal Waite and the Moonchild Tarot. What a fun deck. I love Moonchild. But, you know, when we talk about using more than one deck, Moonchild, I think, is good for that. A lot of you here are sort of Waite or Waite-ish kinds of readers. I am too, and maybe that's why. And I do feel like some decks are better for just a card or two versus a whole spread. I don't know if you find that. We'll talk about that. Claire's in Port Charlotte, Florida, using Rider-Waite and Mother Piece. Kathy's in Delaware. So cool. All right. So here's how we do the readings. If you have a question that you are willing to share, you can ask your question. I will pull one card and answer, and anyone else who would like to add to the reading will tag that person and then put the name of the card they got, again, just one card, and your interpretation. And so this way we do a full multi-card reading from all over the world. And so if you have a question, go ahead and put your question in. And the key here is if I read for you, or, if you ask a question, make sure that you go through and read through the comments to get your full reading. And it's always very interesting to see, how often do we get the same or similar cards? How often do we get the same answer? How often are we contradictory? These are all interesting things to look at. So let's look at them. At this point, if you have a question, go ahead and type it in. And our first question that I see is from Kathy Levin. Will I be able to purchase a parcel lot from Dan for a fair price? So if you would like to do this reading, at Kathy Levin, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation, what do you see there? Death reversed. So I feel like it's going to be a little difficult. Getting the right number, I feel like Dan may be a little stubborn about what it's going to be. So I'm not sure. I think it might be a little tough. Let's see what other people have to say. Okay, Mary Collins, my good friend. How serious is this problem with my foot pain? Oh, I hate foot pain. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Let's take a look and see. And okay, this is a nice teachable moment because it does fall into the category of medical reading. Now, there are some people who just don't like to handle health questions at all. I always use the disclaimer. Obviously, your doctor is your best source of health information, but let's do the reading and see. So if you'd like to do this reading, at Mary Collins, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Let's see what we've got here. 9 of Cups reversed for Mary Collins' feet. So clearly it's not making you happy. But I don't get the sense it's terribly serious. And I think you should drink more water, just saying. Okay, lots of readings going on. Very good. And I see Kathy Levin got the 10 of Pentacles, which I call the real estate card. And right before we got started, Claire C. had a suggestion that later on we talk about the different nicknames we have for cards, and I think that's great, so we are going to do that. And I will say my 10 of Pentacles is very often the card of real estate. So that makes it a lot more positive, right? Okay, so let's see. Next question. Joanne Oshenick. Should I go through with the purchase of the small farmhouse in Roosevelt, Indiana? If you'd like to do this reading, at Joanne Oshenick, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Should I go through with the purchase of the small farmhouse in Indiana? I got the Empress reversed. So I would want to make sure, that's not necessarily a no, but I would like to make sure that all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted and all of that. I feel like there may be more information that you need. Okay. Hey, Ashley, nice to see you. Okay. Claire, nice to see you using Gilded Tarot. Very good. Okay. Okay. Karen wants to ask a question. Karen wants to ask a question about my relationships, especially romantic. Is there a message about relationships for Karen? If you would like to do this reading at Karen Maynard, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation. The Chariot reversed. I think things are feeling kind of stuck. I think there's things you can do to move the energy along. And you know, Chariot reversed has been a card of COVID in a lot of ways. And so I feel like COVID is not making any relationships better, right? And so you do want to be patient and recognize there are some difficulties, right? And difficulties that don't necessarily have to do with the relationship, just have to do with what's surrounding. But the key is, how do we move the energy forward? What can you do to move the energy forward? Okay. Okay. Lots of good readings. Okay, Smile Soul 20. My question, I've been filling in for another worker in his section. How long will that be for? If you would like to do this reading at Smile Soul 20, the name of the card you got and your interpretation, and make sure you tag the person because we're doing a lot of different readings, right? Okay. I got the 2 of Pentacles reversed, so I'm going to say maybe another 2 weeks. If you'd like to do that reading, again, Smile Soul 20, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Hey, Martino, nice to see you here. Glad you're here. Okay, so Jackie says, I'm feeling unsettled in my work, but I don't really see a question there. If you could go ahead and phrase that into a question. I don't know if you're asking, should I get a different job? What can I do to fix this? What is really true about my work? Go ahead and give us a little more there. Okay, lots of great readings going on. Robin Renee Albritton, what is up with my boring love life? Okay, so that's an interesting question because we don't know if your love life is boring because you're not seeing anyone, or if your love life is boring because you're with someone who is boring. And so, you know, when we do these kinds of readings, and for those of you who read for others or even reading for yourself, how you phrase the question really matters. Because you're going to put energy into, you know, there's energy in the question. And so it is much easier to get more information psychically if we have more information. Robin says, I'm not seeing anyone. Okay, so Robin's love life is boring because she's not seeing anyone. So if you would like to, that's okay. This is, you know, these are good teachable moments when we talk about how to phrase a question, not just in this forum, but in any forum. Anytime you go to the cards. If you're reading for yourself because you know your own story, sometimes it's perfectly okay to say, what's up with this? Pull a card, that's fine. But if you're reading for someone else, it's good to get that fully formed question is a really good thing. Okay, so what is up with Robin Renee's boring love life? She's not seeing anybody. All right, if you would like to do that question at Robin Renee Albritton, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Let's see what we got. What's up with my boring love life? The High Priestess. So the thing is, you're certainly attractive and other people would find you attractive. At this point, though, you have learned that no, it's better to have no relationship than to have the wrong relationship. So you would rather be single than be in the wrong relationship. And that's fine. But that will, sometimes when the love relationship is not boring, it's also not good. So we appreciate that it is better to be single than be with the wrong person. So I feel like what this is saying to me is that you need to now be more proactive, either spiritually or like just by manifesting it, setting your intentions, or by actually in a mundane way trying to meet people. I feel like you need to do more to meet people. Okay, and everyone, thank you so much for participating and doing readings. Oh, okay, very good. Thank you, Jackie. Jackie is feeling unsettled at work and wants to know how to change this. If you'd like to do this reading at Jackie Scott, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. The Tower reversed. Be careful what you ask for. It could get worse before it gets better. This unsettledness is not necessarily coming from you. It may be company-wide. It may be throughout the whole situation. Try to stay in your own lane and just do your work and try not to let the energy of all the other craziness going on around you. Try not to let that get to you. That's what I think. Let's see what other people have to say. Okay, Clumsy Clairvoyance. How can I apply my knowledge and ideas creatively and professionally into action? Let's see. If you'd like to do this reading at Clumsy Clairvoyance, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. How can I apply my knowledge and ideas creatively and professionally into action? Ooh, the Seven of Cups. So here's the thing. Do not be afraid to have more than one project. Do not be afraid to feel scattered. Do not be afraid to want to do this and this and this and this and this. Be open to all of it. Throw a lot of spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. Okay. So, Christine Estaper, what do I need to know about my new kitten? And so again, interesting question. Are we worried about the kitten? Do you actually have the kitten? Do we know what the kitten's name is? So many questions do I have. I would love it if you would sort of tell us a little bit more. Are you just wondering what the kitten is thinking? I would love to know a little bit more about this before we do that reading, just because there's so many possibilities there. Have you even gotten a cat? Do you want to get a cat? Do you have a cat that you don't like? I don't know. Okay, tell us some stuff. Dawn, nice to see you here. Okay, and speaking of cats, here's Marion K. Tarot. I'm feeling like I should get a cat. Should I? I've never had a cat before. Okay, so if you'd like to do this reading, and then we'll go back to you, Christine. Marion K. Tarot, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Does Marion K. Tarot need a cat? Hierophant reversed. That's an interesting one. There's a part of me that says, if you do, make sure you do it in a spiritual way and make sure that cat becomes your familiar. Okay, so now let me scroll back and find more about this other cat. Hang on a minute here, scrolling. Okay. Okay, so here the question is from Christine Estopere. I have the kitten. We haven't named him yet. He's very hyper and dog-like. He's a good kitten. I just want to know what his personality is like. Okay, we can work with that. At Christine Estopere, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. The Eight of Cups. This cat wants to go out. If you are keeping this as an indoor cat, make sure there's a window perch because the cat wants to watch outside, and make sure there's a lot of opportunity for play and physical activity, and you might consider leash training. Just saying. Okay. Now let me scroll back in the other direction to get back to our the next question. Hey, La Morena, nice to see you. We're going to do your thing later. Okay. So that was funny that we had like two cat questions like in a row. That was awesome. Okay, Gypsy Jade. How long should I stay separated before getting divorced? All right. If you'd like to do this reading at Gypsy Jade, the name of the cards you got and your interpretation. Ooh, the Three of Swords. Honestly, I'm going to say the sooner the better. You know, I mean, you're going in this direction as soon as legally and financially and logistically possible. ASAP, pull off the Band-Aid. And again, if you'd like to do that reading at Gypsy Jade, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Okay, Ms. Voice, nice to see you. And let's see. Hi, Christiana. I got an autoimmune disease. I'm so sorry. What is my life lesson here? Well, very good question. If you'd like to do this reading at Ms. Voice, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. What is the life lesson here? The Ace of Swords. That if you learn everything you can about this disease and how to manage it, you will be able to manage it and move forward in your life. Okay. Okay. And again, make sure if you've asked a question, just go through and make sure you get all of your reading here. Okay, GOTR, is there marriage in the cards for me and Yogesh? Okay, do we see marriage for this couple? If you would like to do this reading at GOTR, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Once again, the Ace of Swords, even though I shuffled, I would have to say quite possibly yes. Okay, La Morena. If I may ask, I'm at an impasse with someone close in my life, but higher in hierarchy, if you will. How should I move forward or just cut ties? Okay, so this would be someone who maybe has power and control in the life. Is there a way to move forward or do you have to move away? Move forward or move away? If you'd like to do this reading at La Morena Penna, the name of the card you got and your interpretation, move forward or cut ties. The Star. You have to figure out what to do that is going to be most healing for you. Whether there is a way to agree and disagree and still feel respected, or whether you have to, and maybe it's not completely cutting ties. Maybe it's just moving away and making the relationship more distant. But the key is it's got to be about what's healing for you. Okay. Lots of great readings going on. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Just scrolling through here, looking at all these readings. So many great people doing great readings here. I really appreciate it. So we are coming to the end of our reading portion. And from my perspective, I have answered every question for a reading. If I missed you, or if you haven't asked a question yet, please do so now. Now we move into our segment about questions about tarot. And we've had 3 great ideas given to us about things that we can talk about. So I'm going to share those things. And if you want to get in on helping to plan what we do in these sessions, make sure you are a member of Global Tarot Circle. That's a group on Facebook. Just join that group. That's where we talk about what we got going on here. So make sure you're a member there. Now, we're going to do a few different things. The first is about one person reached out and said, I feel like some decks lie and some decks tell the truth. What's up with that? What do you believe about that? Now, none of us really understand or know why the cards work, right? So we all have our own beliefs and feelings about the cards. Some people believe each deck actually has a personality or like a soul, I'm not that much of an animist. I don't believe that. I believe, though, that the cards never lie. We just interpret them. Either we've interpreted them badly, or we are asking questions that are not helpful. So, if you have a comment about this, go ahead and tag it decks. And what do you think? Why do the cards work? Do different decks work differently? Do the cards have some sort of soul? And do you think cards ever lie? What do you think about that? I know I have cards that I like to read with more than others. And Dora's just asking about that. Do I have a go-to deck? I've got like 5 or 6 that I like to alternate between, and I'll use one until I wear it out, and then I'll buy it again. And it usually takes me 2 or 3 months to wear a deck out. And they're mostly pretty weight-based. Honestly, I'm a weight reader. That's pretty much the way it is. But that will be also Crystal Visions and Spiral Tarot, Hanson Roberts. I have, a good 150 decks. But for, my workhorse deck, the deck I use to read for my clients, the deck I carry with me everywhere I go. Well, when I used to go places before COVID, it's going to be somewhat weight-based, very likely. And I can read with any deck. I could read with 78 pieces of numbered notebook paper. I don't feel like for me, I do believe in sort of like the spirit of tarot in some way, but I don't see different decks as having their own sort of spirit. It's just, I don't know, some decks I connect with better than others. That's just me and personal preference and what stimulates my third eye best. That's kind of where I'm at. But, there's no right or wrong answer to this. You've got to do it the way it feels right for you. So let's see what other people have to say about this. Okay. Oh, Melanie, a topic for a possible class. How can tarot indicate the passage of time? Oh, maybe we'll do that. Timing and tarot, maybe we'll do that in December. We do have a class coming up, by the way, next week. I don't even remember. Oh, gosh, look at me. I don't even remember what our next class is. Isn't that funny? So let's see. When is our next class? Okay, our next class is next Sunday, the 22nd, 4 o'clock. We're doing tarot magic. How much fun is that? So make sure you're back here exactly 1 week from today, 4 o'clock Eastern time. This time slot, we're doing tarot magic. So make sure you join us. And also remember, I've got a class on Zoom. You have to pay for that one. It's $37.50. It is coming up on the 19th. That's this coming Thursday. We're doing court cards, a 2-hour class on court cards. Don't tell me you don't need that class, because we all do. So make sure you join us. Okay, so let's see. Let's see where we're at here. Okay, so Claire, regarding decks, I find the Mystic Mondays deck is no BS. Might sound funny, but I sometimes feel like the cards need a rest, so I put them away for a while. I find that too sometimes, but I don't know if it's the cards need a rest or I'm just tired of those pictures and I want different ones. Style and Chica, nice to see you. To me, different decks communicate differently, just like people do with different accents. Fair enough. Mary Collins, I don't think cards have souls, but I connect with some, but not others. I don't think they lie. I just think I can't always hear them clearly. Right. Clumsy clairvoyance. I believe you nailed it with the question we were asking. Like you mentioned, how we phrase our questions are extremely important, and maybe we underestimate that power. Absolutely. Ms. Voice, decks. Some of my decks are lying. I don't know why. So I would have to go back and say, I have a hard time believing they're lying. I think it's about the way you ask the question or the way you hear the answer. I think it's in interpretation. Yes, some love for tarot magic. Yay. So yeah, I think it's all about how we ask the question. I really do. Gypsy Jade, different images on different decks can convey very different messages. Right, but I think you gotta trust that. You gotta trust, this is a Wald Amberstone thing. You have to trust that you get the right querent with the right question to the right reader with the right deck at the right time, right? Okay, Chriswell, I have one deck called Accurate AF, but I say there's no such thing. However, since every card is an avatar of the human condition, every card will apply to everyone at some point in time. Fair enough. Christine Esteper, some of my decks are a bit on the darker, I'm not going to sugarcoat side of things, while some of my other decks are nicer and a bit more motivational. Interesting. Kathy, decks. Decks are like people. Some you can connect with and some you don't. Okay, Marion K. Tarot, decks. I'm not an animist either, but some decks I prefer the images more than others, but I like having a varied selection of decks based on how I'm feeling at the time. Chriswell, decks. I pull out 3 decks and let my querent pick the one that speaks to them. Hey, Robin, nice to see you. Robin Homan. Robin Spiritual Journeys. Glad you're here. Okay. Robin Renee, as an African-American woman, I love more diverse decks. As a person who reads for a very diverse community, I wish I had more diverse decks. And that's like one of my goals is to find some decks that I like to read with that look like the people I actually read for. And I love that there are more on the market now, right? Because when I first started out, the only deck I could find was Tarot of the Ages, and it had these gorgeous, naked Black men on it. Not all the cards, but some of them. And some of my clients were not very comfortable with that. So, it's hard. It's really, really hard, but not as hard as it used to be. And let's all support the tarot deck artists of color and those who are producing decks that reflect our actual community, right? Not just the Europeans. Okay, Karen Maynard, decks. I want to expand my tarot collection and will most likely purchase online because of COVID. And just got the good tarot and I don't like it. I think I want a deck that is based on RWS but may have a different perspective. I was looking at Phyllis Curot's Witches deck. I definitely connect with some of them and not others. Right. Yes, more diversity, please. I think we could all agree with that. I would say, my client base reflects a very diverse community in every way that you can possibly imagine in terms of age, gender, ethnicity, education level, everything. And I want images that does that. Okay, let's see. Sally Larkin. I'm so needing follow-up polls lately. I think it may be the energy of 2020. The sentence of the year, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Yes, yes. Okay. So can I start a new comment thread? Let's call it like diversity. And can you share with me decks that a very basic weight reader, and when I say very basic, my readings are not at all basic, but I like the basic weight images. Decks that a person who likes the basic weight images would like and would connect with, that feature people that are diverse in body shape and size, in gender, and in ethnicity, please. Excuse me. Christine says, I sometimes just try to avoid decks with people on them because they usually lack people of color. Yeah, that's where I absolutely love my Orbifold, right? Not a person anywhere. It's one of the reasons I love this deck. Okay. Now, okay, La Morena decks. I believe in spirit of the deck. I am an animist, fair enough. I like most mystical things. There's a spiritual divine element, but also a human, especially psychological, Junging especially, or Myers-Briggs in the court. Sure, sure. Robin Renee, those naked black men were very good looking. Oh my gosh. But some of my clients were not pleased with them. Okay, so Dora says, I agree, it's third eye stimulation, basically. And the cards don't lie, you just don't get the message sometimes. Tarot reading is an art, different readers have different interpretation, sure. La Morena decks, the art matters so much to me, more than the system, which I use somewhat, but I find can be ignored mostly. I connect with the art the most while implementing common or traditional meanings. Fair enough. Fair enough. There are two Robins here. We've got Robin Renee and Robin's Spiritual Journeys. FYI. Modern Witch. Okay, I will check that out. I will check that out. Okay. And Dawn says the Everyday Enchantment and True Heart Intuitive Tarot are diverse decks that are RW based. Thank you. Appreciate it. Sally Larkin, I think I'm enjoying using a one-card pull from Magical Times Oracle deck to identify with the person and where they are before the tarot reading. Oh, I love that. I love that. And Robin Renee says Modern Witch has size and race diversity. Yes, size diversity is a thing too. My goodness. You know, more than half of our tarot community, they call us mediums, but we're really extra larges. And, you know, reading a deck where every single character is tiny, tiny, skinny drives me nuts. Just saying. La Morena, diversity. A Sally Earthworker has a whole series on this called Tarot of the QTPOC. Indie decks are better at this, especially if the creator is part of the marginalized groups represented. Beautiful. Christine says Spellcaster's Tarot is very, very diverse as well. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, this might hurt tarot. Also, dust to onyx. I've heard good things about that. That's from Marion Kay. Okay. Okay, very good. Tarot of the Divine. Okay. Very good. Karen says, sorry, unfortunately, the only ones I know are very diverse are Angel Oracle cards. But if anyone's interested, they're Kyle Gray and Keepers of the Light and Angel Guide Oracle. Okay, cool. So, good conversation. Thank you so much. And the thing is, if you have that situation and we had this when we were looking at sports, we were talking about sports, and we could not get the right reading regarding the World Freaking Series. So if you find that you got it wrong, and I got it wrong not once but twice regarding the World Series, one card pull regarding the World Series, I would not look at that and say my deck lied to me. I would look at that and say, how could this card reflect what really did happen? And learn something more about how the cards speak. And I think sometimes when we're talking about future predictions, some things just aren't predictable. Not everything in the future is written. So there's that. Okay, so now we're going to do, this is just a quick one suggested by Claire C. So we're going to call this card names, tag it card names. Do you, Tarot of the Ages from US Games. Do you have particular cards that you have nicknames for? We'll call it card names. Like for instance, Mary Collins, I'm gonna steal this from you because it's one of my favorite examples of this and I use it all the time. Mary Collins, about the 10 of Swords, says, "Stick a fork in me, I'm done." I cannot tell you the number of times that has come in handy in a reading. We've already gone through today, 10 of Pentacles for me is real estate. Not always. Sometimes it's legacy, sometimes it's your ancestors, but sometimes I do call it the real estate card. We know 7 of Swords is the Thieves card. So card names, do you have nicknames for particular cards? Go ahead. Okay, some more thoughts here about tarot decks. Oh, good, Tiberius, nice to see you here. 9 of Cups as the Wish card. That's a classic. It certainly is. Absolutely, absolutely. So go ahead, you can tag it card names, any other thoughts that way. And now I want to bring up a conversation suggested by La Morena, Robin Renee. I call the Ace of Wands the dick card. I cannot tell you. Yes, I call it the hard-on card. I do. What do you have a hard-on for? Christine, the 7 of Swords, the Fox card. Sure. It's pictured that way in Mother Peace Tarot. And I remember once having pulled, before I was a professional reader, chasing someone around the house with the Mother Peace 7 of Swords, which is a fox in the chicken coop. This person had been lying and I knew it. And I was calling around and I'm like, there's a fox in your chicken coop. There's a fox in your chicken coop. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Chance, nice to see you. In my deck, I think of the star as cosmic fertilizer. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. 4 of Cups, the Mat card from Dawn Theory. Marion, the Knight of Wands. Have a good time for not a long time. Oh, I love that. That is so smart. Clumsy Clairvoyance, 3 of Swords. Oh, shit. Sometimes I call that ouch. Hey, Peggy Lou, nice to see you. Nice to see you. All right. So now, the subject sent to me by La Morena, using more than one deck in a reading, whether it's 2 tarot decks, whether it's a tarot deck and an oracle deck. How do you do it? What are your ways for using 2 decks? So go ahead and label it 2 decks and tell me what you think. Claire C., I hear songs like Walking on Sunshine for the Sun card. So at StarCon, Marion's going to be doing a presentation on your tarot playlist talking about exactly that kind of thing. Chriswell, Knight of Wands, burn it all down. Let someone else clean up the mess. That's fun. Mary Collins, Four of Wands, the marriage card. Dawn Theory, Knight of Wands, the changing residence card. So good. So much fun stuff here. I love it. I love it. Okay, so talk to me about using more than one deck. I have a couple of tarot decks, like Tarot of Transformation, like Moonchild Tarot, that strike me as being more oracle-like. They're more spiritual. I don't feel good doing a whole Celtic cross with them, but just pulling one, two, or three cards to help. I sometimes call it bringing in the big guns to just get some more clarity. I'll do that. I'll do that. Okay. So Peggy says 2 decks, sometimes 3 with runes and oracle decks too. Tell us how. Tell us how you do it. Dora, I may use an oracle card for advice at the end. That's a nice way to tie up the reading, isn't it? Sally, card nicknames. I call the reversed King of Wands the Jeffrey Epstein card. That's funny. Okay. So how do you use? Okay, Karen, stand your ground for which wands? I could see that for the 9 of Wands or even the 7 of Wands. Christine, I'll use an oracle deck as an additive to the spread if the cards are quite negative. I'll use it as an affirmation card, something to bring the seeker's hopes up. Very good. Gypsy Jade, I think of song lyrics in relationship to cards too. 5 of Swords, know when to walk away, know when to run. Sure. So again, make sure you catch Marion's presentation at StarCon. Marion, 2 decks. John Matthews has brought out a tarot set called Tarot of Light and Shadow. I was just speaking with someone about that today. It's 2 decks that mirror each other in the images. I've been playing with it since last month. Do you like it? Chriswell, 2 decks. After a reading, I may show the same reading in another deck to emphasize a point. La Morena, 2 decks. I really like your tarot with a grand tableau. Similarly, I like tarot with Lenormand. Also tarot with oracle, angel, etc. The tarot is the main one with clarification or extra info from the other. Yeah, sure. Melanie, 2 decks. I use a basic RWS to start, then a Moody deck for clarity on the issue. Conflict issues call me to use the Barbara Walker Tarot. Oh, there's a classic for additional readings. Robin Renee, I use the Romance Oracle at the beginning because everyone asks about love. And Chriswell says usually both weight-based for his cards. Christine, okay, that's for Marion, so I'm just reading through here. Claire, I've used 2 decks, 1 deck per person and laid a Celtic cross. It's interesting how the same card can appear in both spreads. Oh, how interesting. So if you're reading for like a couple, do a Celtic cross at the same time with 2 decks. Ooh, I love that. La Morena, 2 decks. Also, you could use 2 tarot decks to compare to each other, 2 paths. See if the same card comes up twice. Compare, contrast the imagery. I also like charm casting, but need practice. Oh, Mary Ellen here. Mary Collins is like the queen of charm casting. Absolutely. Very cool. Tiberius. I like the idea to use 2 decks and use one of them just to select a significator, and then I still have the chance for that same card to come up in a reading. Yeah, that's a good idea. That makes sense. Absolutely. So we are coming to the end of our time together. We still have about 9 minutes, so keep on the conversation in these ways. The idea of using a second deck as a clarifier, I think, is fun. La Morena, 2 decks. I also do that with 2 people, like Claire said. Cool. And I've got these 2 oracle decks that are from the same person, art through the Art Through the Eyes of the Soul or something like that. I don't remember. But they're the same, two separate decks, but you can put them together and make this huge deck. It's really kind of cool. So I love that idea. You know, there's so many ways. What is StarCon? Thank you. I am going to talk about StarCon. StarCon is a brand new conference, STAARCON. It stands for Southeastern Tarot Artists and Readers Conference. The very first StarCon will be held this January. It was originally planned to be at the Doubletree Executive Center in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, but because COVID is still with us, it's going to be all online. We are doing it on a very robust conference platform. We will have a full exhibition hall. We will have psychic readings. We will have many different presentations. We've got Mary Greer. We've got Benabel Wen. We've got a full pre-conference day with me called Operational Tarot. We will have a few free classes, and you can also obviously buy tickets to attend the whole thing. We are very excited. You can go to the StarCon website and read about it, STAARCON, and we are just now making the transition on the website to the online format. But tickets are available, and we are really looking forward to seeing you. Now, if you want to learn more about it, we have a podcast called StarCast, STAARCAST. That's a channel here on YouTube. Please go and subscribe. You can also download StarCast, episodes of StarCast, wherever you get your podcasts. And what happens for this podcast is I interview different StarCon presenters. Now, we have a page on Facebook, and we also have a group, StarCon 2021. So like and join. Please, please, please. We really want to see you this January. This will be an annual event. We're hoping that 2022 will be hybrid, where we will be in person in Florida in January 2022. But if you can't fly in, if you can't make it in, you will be able to come in virtually as well. Okay, so a couple of other things from Sally. I have a great deck from Five Below that has a few keywords on the bottom that I feel would be nice for a final one-card pull by the client. They can get a physical connection to the reading. La Morena, 2 decks for compare, contrast, past and future, light and dark, etc. Like a regular 2-card spread, but using 2 decks. Sure. So the question is there an advantage either way? You know, whether you do, and I think there is, because the same card can come up twice. You know, that's kind of cool. So Gypsy Jade, I've seen a couple of readers shuffle 2 decks together, such as Good Tarot and Mystical Shaman Oracle. So there's a mix of the 2 in the reading. I love it. I love it. So before you go, oh, thanks for the love for my dress. Thank you. Before you go, make sure you drop your shameless self-promotion and your contact information. Do you have a website? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have an Insta? Can we follow you? I will give you my shameless self-promotion. I am available for readings by phone, Skype, FaceTime, Messenger, Zoom, you name it. You can just go to my website, tarotbychristiana.com. You can schedule directly there. Or you can reach out, you can email me, you can find me on Facebook, friend me. And I do a lot of lives on my Facebook business page, which is Christiana Gaudet, so make sure you find me there. And again, remember, this coming Thursday, we have a class on Zoom on court cards. You need a ticket for that. You can find that, go to my website, tarotbychristiana.com, and you can get your ticket by just going to the events and clicking the link and get your ticket. It's $37.50. And 2-hour intensive on court cards. Would love to see you there. Of course, our class here next week, 4 p.m. on Sunday, Tarot Magic. Again, go ahead and drop your contact information. We see Dora has dropped her Insta and her Facebook. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for being here. Really appreciate it. And make sure you join the group Global Tarot Circle on Facebook. So drop your shameless self-promotion and any other final comments. We will have one more meetup this month, and that will be at the end of the month on Sunday the 29th. So basically, next Sunday and the Sunday after, 4 p.m., this same time slot, whatever time this is, wherever in the world you are, we're going to be here again next Sunday and the Sunday thereafter. So you're busy. We'll look forward to seeing you there and then. Okay. And let's see. We've got people dropping their shameless self-promotion, so make sure you follow each other so we can be with one another. So happy to see you all here. And see any final thoughts in our final few minutes here. I think the takeaways from today, if you feel like your cards are lying to you, take time to reinterpret them and figure out what else they might mean. If you own more than one deck, and which one of us does not, see if there's ways you can put them together in a reading and what that might do for you. And this idea of having a nickname for a card. It's not always going to mean that thing, but that may help you remember it. And at certain times that may help you when you are interpreting it in a reading. You know, very often that's a thing you can say to a client. Oh, well, and like, you know, the one that Mary Collins gave me for the Ten of Swords, stick a fork in me, I'm done. That really takes some of the sting out of what that image looks like when we see it at the tarot table, and it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. Oh, Chris, well, I'm so sorry that you've had a loss. Okay, well, that is our time. I want to thank you all so much, and I want to remind you, here on this channel, if you have not subscribed, please do. Please do. And what else? The playlist here. I'm organized into playlists. If you go to Live Tarot Webinars playlist, you'll see what we already have scheduled, so you can look for a reminder there, and you'll see what we've done in the past that you can watch in archive. Okay, I want to thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Karen, I mixed together my oracle decks. I do 1 3-card reading with tarot and follow it with 3 oracle cards. Perfect. Hey, Marcy, better late than never. So glad to see you. Okay, and that is our time. Thank you so much. Take care. Be good.